Hey guys, it's G. So here we are on step 3 of the Maverick isolation test, and we're almost completed our test. So we've gone through step 1, which was testing the back end. We did step 2, which was the reputation test, and now we're on step 3, which is the content test, which is probably one of the most important aspects of the Maverick isolation test. The great thing about this is after this step we'll be able to know at least a good 95% certainty that if we've gotten to the end of this test and we aren't able to resolve our spam issue, then chances are, unfortunately, we may have burned the domain and you will have to work at resolving that. So let us begin the content test. So here we are at step 3. Step 3, which is content. So first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to start with a new template. So in the ebook package that I sent you, you should have a basic HTML template and also a basic inline CSS template. So again, you can either use for this test, or what you can do is use your own basic HTML if you have. So what you're going to do here for step 3 actually is you're going to start with your new template plus your original content. And what you're going to do is remove the links and the images. You're going to deploy a test message, and now depending on your result of that level 1 test, whether or not it inboxes or spam, if it inboxes, you're going to go to section A. If it spams, you're going to go to section B. So in this case, let's just pretend that we inboxed, which means that we're actually going to be dealing with section A. So here we will note that it inboxed. And what does it tell us to do next? Okay, so we now know that a new template plus original content plus removing the links and images inbox. So what does that tell us to do next? It tells us basically to start adding links back, because as I mentioned to begin with, the Maverick isolation test is there to isolate each variable and basically see what could be triggering filters. So in this case, now that we've stripped everything, we're going to start bit by bit adding things back. And the first thing we're going to add back is the original links. So here we now have our new template plus original content, plus we're going to add our original links back. So you're going to add your links back and you're going to deploy your message. Now your results will come back either spamming or inboxing. So you do here have, if it spams, you're going to be adding new links, right? So if it inboxes, it's great. If it inboxes, it means that chances are there was something within your actual template that was causing a block. So you would just modify your template, retest, and go forth. In this case, it's spammed. So we're going to indicate again that it spams. So we're going to say spam. Oh, wrong box. Spam. Okay, so if it spams, basically we're being told here that we have to change the ad copy. We have to change the ad copy and use new links, right? So we've changed the links, right? We've had new links. Basically what we're going to do here now is we're going to change the ad copy with the new links. So again, you're going to use the basic template, now some generic ad copy. Do use a couple of paragraphs of copy. Don't use just 1 or 2 lines of text that I have here. This was just an example. So what you're going to do is you're going to use a generic subject line, generic text, and you're going to use your new links and you're going to deploy your message. If you deploy your message and it inboxes, that's great, right? If it inboxes, now you know that, okay, there is something that's triggering. It could, basically what this is telling you is that you don't necessarily have maybe an issue with your template, but you may definitely have an issue with your ad copy and maybe your links. So you're going to go back to your original template and maybe you'll change around your ad copy and you'll try your different links and you'll test it out that way. So again, the whole point of this is to kind of strip down each section of your email message to see what could be triggering it. So let's just say for this example though, it did spam, it didn't inbox. So if it spams, then you have to go to your last step here, which is you have basically 2 choices. Basically you can restart this test all over again in terms of step 3, which means start with a new basic template. Or basically what it's telling you is that your email reputation may have some issues and you may have to work towards gaining a more positive reputation. Now, again, I'm not a big advocate for domain swapping. I know that typically when people get to this point, sometimes they might be not as patient and they just want a quick fix. And I can understand a quick fix when, you're definitely, if you have a certain email message that needs to get out, that needs to be deployed, I can understand the domain swapping. But however, when you domain swap, you're not actually trying to resolve the original issue. Because if you are having a reputation issue, then you definitely have an issue with your mailing practices, which means that the domain swapping will just be a short-term fix. You're not working towards a long-term fix. So again, if depending on what your issue is, trying to regain that good reputation again typically doesn't take too long, depending obviously on a various number of factors, which I won't go into. Again, it all depends on what your issue is. So if you really need to get those messages out and start hitting the inboxes, you can swap out the domain. I do encourage you to keep testing, but the most important part is make sure you keep sending those test messages and make sure that you're CC'd on every single message that goes out. Because again, as I said before, the swapping of domains is a very, very short-term fix. So let's go back here to the step 3 content, and let's just look at section B, right? So what would have happened if we would have spammed in the first part of step 3, right? Let's look at that. Okay, so we spammed. Okay, so if we spammed, we're going to have to go to level B. And what does level B basically tell us? Okay, level B isn't really that confusing. You just need to follow the color codes. The diagram that I gave you is more clear. Putting into an Excel sheet is a little bit difficult sometimes, but as you get used to doing this test, you'll become accustomed to it, and you'll develop your own ways to test your step 3 content of the Maverick isolation test. But to begin with, let's just say you did spam. So you spammed, and basically what it's telling you to do here is you're going to keep the new template, but you're going to change the ad copy and the subject line. You're going to test it. If you test it, when you test it and you get the results of either spam or inbox, here's basically what's going to happen. If you spam, you're going to go down to the orange. If you inbox, you're going to continue in the blue section. So in this case, we spammed. So if we spam, what happens, right? We've changed the template, we've changed the copy, we've changed the subject line, and it's still spamming. Chances are, if it's still spamming, unfortunately, you may have a reputation issue, or you have to start the test again with a new template. Now, there's no point at this juncture to basically add any new links, right? I mean, if you're spamming with no links in there, there's no way that you're going to inbox with links. Now, this doesn't stop you from testing. Again, the whole point of this showing you the structure of the Maverick isolation test is to basically get you accustomed to testing messages. So once you get used to testing messages, you'll develop your own method. So again, if you spam in the first section in the orange, you're going to go down to the orange. If you would have inboxed, you would have continued with the blue inboxes. You would have continued with the blue sections. So that's it for the Maverick isolation test. We've gone through all 3 steps. If you guys have any questions or concerns, just let me know.